So Dana White just posted me on his Instagram. The UFC media team got together and they absolutely flamed me, but I'm going to react to this. You see, I just left the comment. Kamaru Usman's calling it a 10-7 for Dana White versus the media. This is about how we all were overreacting about UFC 300 being a little bit of a letdown when they were slowly rolling out the fights. Anyway, without further ado, let's check this out.
What's up, guys? As we rolled into UFC 300, the MMA experts weighed in on what they thought of UFC 300. And for all the fighters that were on this card, when I said this is the greatest card ever assembled in the history of combat sports, this is what the media thought of you guys.
This is not, first of all, this is not what we thought of you guys. This is what we thought of the matchmakers. But either way.
UFC 300 makes no sense. Is any fight on this card 300 worthy? No.
This is the most diabolically disappointing UFC 300 announcement ever.
Jesse on fire.
Kind of thrown together.
Ariel
It doesn't
Helwani.
feel like the culmination of something big.
We were continually told that it's going to knock your socks off. It's going to be amazing.
What did Dana say about this guy? We're gonna blow their socks off. I wanted my jaw to hit the fucking ground.
I did expect a little bit more from the company to blow us away.
Nobody got blown away. Nobody.
Again, let me just say this. This is a lot of people's reaction to the fights like Marina Rodriguez and Jessica Andrade. And let me just ask you, does anyone even remember that fight? I don't. All I'm saying is that you could have had Sergey Pavlovich and Cyril Gahn on there instead. All right? Instead of maybe one of these other fights, you could have maybe had Josh Emmett versus Edson Barboza. But let's continue.
We need people that know the sport to be running this.
Yeah, that's me! That's actually me, holy shit! We need people that know the sport to run the fucking sport. Yeah, okay? You need people like me, okay? And what I meant by that is some of these matchmakers are just kind of out of touch. And don't get me wrong, the card was amazing. I definitely overreacted about Holloway and Gagey. I didn't like the BMF title. I thought Holloway was going to get smoked. And then as the fight got closer, it actually became my favorite fight on the card before it even happened. But again, let's not forget they were slowly rolling out Kayla Harrison and Holly Holm. Holly Holm. In 2024, we're not going to get that gun-ho about Holly Holm. As I said, if you really know the sport, you could have done Kayla Harrison versus, guess what? Juliana Pena. Trash talker, loudmouth. That's kind of what I was getting at. It's like real hardcore fans really know what we want. We really know how to maximize the fights. But either way.
UFC 300, the worst promoted fight card ever. Worst put together fight.
It was not that badly promoted, but, you know, listen. I was overreacting. I was also kind of having fun with it. But when they were slowly rolling out Yan Xiaonan versus Zhang Weili, I was saying, why not have this on China and instead maybe put Whitaker and Kamaru Usman on there? Let's be honest. Two options. You get to watch Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan, or you get to watch Whitaker versus Usman. Which one? You know which one. But I'm not going to sit here and act like UFC 300 wasn't the best card in UFC history. It absolutely was. Imagine what it could have been, though.
Max Holloway for the BMF title, which I think is the corniest nonsense on earth.
Weili Zhang against Zhao Yan. China's gonna get all excited, and I don't think anyone else really cares.
UFC 300.
Kind of true. It wasn't that hype in the US. It was a good fight. It was a hardcore fight for sure. But Cyril Gahn and Sergey Pavlovich, though, how about that? Either way, you know, the card was amazing. Let's continue. There's MMA experts. Shout out to MMA experts.
Be a disaster. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, there we are!
Monumental card that there's ever been. You've had a whole year to prepare for this. Aren't you trying to make sales? Don't you want people to actually buy the pay-per-view?
Yeah! Let's go!
As I'm concerned, it's just a regular, decent pay-per-view.
Boom! As far as I'm concerned, it's just a regular, decent pay-per-view. I was dead wrong. This is a big moment on the boss man's Instagram. Yeah! What up? Let's go! We made it. We made it to the boss man's page. All right? Big time. Now, it's not necessarily the best way to make it because he's flaming me and he caught me with a big shot. That's a KO right there. Dana White, he got me, dude. I was wrong in many ways. All but a few. Okay, all but a few, I was wrong in many ways. All right? Dana White, you got me with the 10-7. I'll give him that. Dana White got me. He flamed me in this one. Now, again, the point that I was making was that although this card's great, and again, keep in mind, I hated the Holloway Gagey fight at first, and I absolutely loved it during the week of the fight, or at least the final week. But my point was, when they were doing announcement after announcement, I just felt like the fights could have been a little bit more solid. Like, for example, I was saying Aljo versus Kattar's good, but imagine Aljo versus Brian Ortega. Imagine that stylistic matchup. Imagine Kattar versus Yair on the same card, right? But it's in the past. It was the best fight card in UFC history. And even if you were to add a couple more fights like Sergey Pavlovich and Gane, like, it still would have been the best fight card in UFC history. But, you know, they didn't even need to, because I will say this. It's good that every once in a while, after getting super hyped after a Moicano TKO and a Diego Lopez TKO, that we get a little bit of a dip off in energy with Jessica Andrade and Marina Rodriguez. Or after the Gagey Max Holloway TKO, when my chat's flooded and we all want to talk about it and we want to recap it, we get a little bit of a dip in energy and we get to chill for a little bit during the co-main event. And then we kind of rejuvenate ourselves and get ready for Alex Pereira and Jamal Hill. And I kind of like that. And I'm starting to see where the UFC's coming from with these fight placements, with the WMMA co-main events. But either way, Dana White got me. And let me just say this. I know I was complaining about 300. The UFC is the best promotion on the planet. Nothing comes close. It's just that I'm so passionate about this sport that when they make decisions that could be easily made a little bit better, I go crazy because I'm like, how did you miss that? Come on, right? I'd love to have a conversation with Dana White someday. But yeah, Dana White knows who I am. This is hilarious, dude. That's actually really awesome. And then, of course, I believe this next part that he shows is like a montage of all the fights and how it was the #1 best-selling pay-per-view in China and it broke all these records. And listen, of course it's the best fight card in UFC history. And it could have still been a little bit better, but either way, it doesn't even matter. Because as I just said, it's kind of nice when we get a dip off in energy. Either way, I see all your comments. I see all the comments. Kamar Usman, that's definitely a 10-7 round for Dana White versus the media. You got everyone. You got John Anik. And let's see, where are the other ones? Brennan Schaub, podcaster. Okay, they're making fun of Schaub. So we're not dominating the comment section, but here we are. Lucas Tracy voice clip is just crazy for his ego. Let's go, dude. I'm looking at the comments. I'm seeing the comments, guys. MMA critics need to oil up. True. We do have to kind of, I mean, Dana White flipped the script on us, right? It's actually us that need to start oiling up after all the shit that we were talking. But I had fun doing it. You know how it is when we get really excited about raging and ranting about the UFC's lackluster decisions. There's a million ideas that I have for the business that I think would be good for the UFC. I'm going to make a whole video on it, but I guess you guys could look at this. Lucas Tracy got flamed by Big Meaty Hooks Dana. True. He did flame me. He absolutely did. Dana White with the passive aggression. Dude, I got to give it to him. This is great. This is awesome. And just seeing myself on Dana White's Instagram, I was watching my Big Meaty Hooks video and someone commented, Dana White just posted you. And I said, no, there's no way. There's no way. Maybe I'm in a story. I was thinking I was going to be in a story with a clown emoji on my face or a clown nose on my face. But it was even better. All right. And all the other MMA YouTubers getting a shout out. Again, not necessarily the best shout out, right? It's a dig at us, but again, I think that if I were to really convey my points to the UFC, they would understand that I actually have some good critiques. And I know that there are reasonings for putting the WMMA fights on, but imagine if it wasn't Holly Holm instead, if it was Juliana Pena, okay? Imagine if it wasn't Aljo versus Ortega, but I'm sorry, Aljo versus Kattar, but Aljo versus Ortega, all right? Imagine if Gane and Pavlovich was on there. Imagine if Whittaker Usman was on there. That's the point that I'm making. But we're no longer complaining about this card. That's all in the past. Best card in UFC history. And it's good that the fights played out well as well. So overall, awesome moment to see me on Dana White's Instagram. I'm going to have a conversation with Dana in the future. That's one of my goals. I want to run by a lot of ideas. And I'll run by some ideas that I have this week for what the UFC could do to improve. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. My reaction to it, I had the same reaction when I first saw it. I was screaming, dude. I was yelling. I was screaming. So I'm really hyped to see that. Until next time,